There are literally zero quotable moments in this entire movie. Not one. Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another Super Series Tuesday. And for today, we will be covering the second film in the Predator franchise, titled Predator 2. Predator 2 was released in 1990, it was directed by Stephen Hopkins, stars Danny Glover, Gary Busey, and Bill Paxton. And this time around, the Predator has traveled to Los Angeles, and it kind of intervenes in a sort of territorial gang war between I believe that they said is the Jamaicans, the Cubans, and then the LAPD. And then yeah, predatory stuff happens. It hunts people, it kills people. Danny Glover becomes like really obsessed with him and is trying to stop him. I keep referring to it as a him, but I don't know what it is. We've been over this. To start, the one that took over the #1 positive on this list instead is now the Predator itself. The Predator is just the same as it was in the first movie, really. I think it looks amazing, the design of the Predator is phenomenal, and I think the Predator's arsenal of weapons is just superb. I think it's super cool, it's one of my favorite aliens, and just kind of like horror movie-ish characters overall of all time. I think the Predator's awesome, and just like his hunting methods, his killing methods, how he kind of steals the spines and the skulls and skinning and things like that. Like, I know that stuff sounds really horrible, because that would be horrible if literally anybody or anything but a Predator did it. But when it's in this movie, the Predator comes off as a total badass. He's got his little laser cannon again, he's got his Wolverine claws, and this time he has this almost sort of like a throwing disc, like a frisbee, but it's like a frisbee from hell, and it's just covered in blades, and it cuts through basically everything. So yeah, it's total badass. The Predator again is just awesome. The Predator's awesome and super enjoyable to watch. The Predator is the #1 positive. And #2 is going to be the late, great Bill Paxton. I literally tweeted while watching this movie because it broke my heart. Rewatching this movie, it made me realize how much I missed Bill Paxton, honestly. The guy was awesome, and it's no different in this movie. He's super over the top, he's super charming almost, but he's hilarious, honestly. He's always cracking jokes, he always seems to be uber just sweaty all the time. He's almost always plays these kind of Weasley, kitten, kind of nasally characters and stuff like that, but he's so enjoyable to watch. He's kind of a sleazebag, but he's also awesome, and he can be a badass when he wants to be. So yeah, Bill Paxton, I love him, I miss him, and he's the second positive on this list. And next, and already last on the positives, again, is just the makeup and the gore effects in this movie. I think the makeup is well done, and the kind of the costume design and things like that. And the Predator, of course. In the gore, although I feel like it was toned down from the first Predator, it still is fun to watch. They still, there's no CGI. They still have the blood squibs. They still have people getting shot and blood splurting out and the skin corpses and things like that. It still is a bloody R-rated movie, and a lot of the stuff looks really cool. You don't get to see a lot of the kills. A few times you think there's going to be these really big showdowns with these really cool kills. The camera kind of cuts away, and then you just kind of see the aftermath, and that really sucks. Sometimes the aftermath is really gory. You just see guys with holes blown in their chest and things like that. That stuff is really cool. So again, yes, the makeup department, the costume, and the gore especially, all that stuff was really awesome in this movie. Although, yes, it was a bit toned down from the first movie, but it's still enjoyable to watch. And now into the negatives of this movie, and there are a lot of them, but as always, I will just try to skimper on through them without getting too heated in the process. So the first negative, I believe, honestly, is this movie's biggest downfall, and that is the change of setting, the changing of the setting. I thought that was really a bad idea. I understand what they were going for. They kind of wanted to broaden the horizons for the Predator, not have him just restricted to the jungle and stuff. They wanted to take him to LA. They wanted to make it, make it feel a little more at home rather than out in the jungle. They wanted to bring the fear to you and say, hey, the Predator could be in your city, it could be in your home, right? So I understand where they were going, and I understand what they were trying to achieve, but it didn't work for me. In my mind, the Predator belongs in the jungle. It does not belong just in the in the dead of night, jumping from building to building like Batman. It didn't work for me. The change of setting, I really didn't like it. And next is the fact that I just found Danny Glover to not be a good or suitable replacement whatsoever for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnie killed it in the first Predator. He was awesome as Dutch, and I really hope that he makes some sort of a cameo in the new Predator movie. My hopes are set so high for that if he does not at least make a cameo or is at least mentioned, I'm going to cry. Me and my coworker were talking about it. We were literally he should just roll up in the wheelchair and be like, it bleeds, you can kill it. And then just be like, alright, we got Dutch back. Sure, anything, please, anything. But back on topic. Danny Glover. he's always really seems like he's out of breath. Always seems like he's just kind of whispering, and I get sometimes Danny Glover, he just kind of talks like that with his whispering, but in this movie it annoyed me, and he just becomes like really just almost obsessive over the Predator, but not in like a cool way, in just like an annoying way. He just wasn't suitable. He wasn't charismatic. He wasn't a likable character. He just always seemed aggravated and irritated, and he always seemed to be like super violent with other people and just like an ass the entire movie. So I did not find him good in this movie at all. In fact, he was super annoying in a major downgrade in my mind from Arnie's over-the-top charismatic and buff-as-hell Dutch. So yeah, I didn't like Danny Glover in this movie. In fact, I didn't like any of the characters in this movie, actually. All the characters are pretty much unenjoyable, really uncharismatic, super unmemorable. And, you know, the only good one in this movie, like I said, was Bill Paxton. Other than that, I didn't care for anybody in this movie. They just kind of came and went. They died. I didn't care. They were in peril. I didn't care. Don't care to remember any of their names or anything. They were really just there. They were placeholders for the Commandos, who are far superior in the first movie than the cast in this movie. And next is the other sort of villain in this movie, which is like these kind of special agents and the team led by Gary Busey. I thought they were super unoriginal. I mean, especially by today's standards. I can't really speak too much from 1990s perspective. But yeah, it's just the typical, hey, we need to catch this thing and not kill him. We gotta capture him and then use him for science. We've seen that 110 times. Do something different for once. I would just try to kill the thing, right? I prefer them just to want to try and kill the thing. That's it. Just kill it. No, it's gotta be the same thing over and over again. We want it for science, for mankind, and all that gnarly stuff. You know, all that cool stuff. Like, it bothered me. Just why? It was so unoriginal. Like, I feel like just wanting to kill the Predator would be more original and at least more relatively entertaining than the shit they try to pull in this movie to capture the Predator. Like, come on. Whew. Okay, finally, last two. Number two, the second last one. Subway scene, completely wasted. I thought it could have been really cool having the Predator just a showdown with a bunch of people. Doesn't happen. Something happens to the light, they start flickering, you can barely see any of the scene. Total waste of my time. Could have been badass. Wasn't. They cut it all out. Stupid. And lastly on the negatives is just the fact that this movie felt like it should have ended 20 minutes before it actually did. Like, they tacked on the last 20 minutes, because, like, you'll see what I mean. I thought the movie was over. Something happens, just kind of signal, like, it's this big kind of, like, perilous moment, and something happens, and then there's a resolve, and it sets up perfectly for an ending, and you're like, oh, this is what's gonna happen, and then, okay, I get it. That's the end of the movie. But then the thing happens, and then you're like, wait, what? And then I clicked, and I was like, oh, there's 20 minutes left. Why? But yeah, the last 20 minutes just feels tacked on. It feels useless. I understand what they were going for, a bit of like world building and things like that. And it kind of, I guess, carries over into Predators. But it's more so just to be like, hey, here's 20 more minutes of movie to fill out the runtime that was required by the studio. Doesn't feel necessary at all. Also, something else I didn't like, and I don't really want to call it like a negative, is the fact that I feel like there's kind of plot holes in this, because I know the Predator uses like its helmet and its technology to kind of record voices and play back, and some people pointed that out to me as to why like the Predator's laughing at the end of Predator. But the Predator starts talking in this one and like swearing. It only says like 2 lines, and both of them involve swearing. And I'm like, I thought you had to use the technology to record and then you play that back, because in the movie it plays other people's voices back, but then all of a sudden it has its own voice and it starts swearing. And then let's not even talk about the Predator's mouth, because no. But yeah, and then also there's an alien skull in this, like a xenomorph alien skull. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. This movie is set in 1997. The first Alien is set way like 21 something or another. And even if you want to go to Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which are prequels to Alien, they're still set like years and years and years before the first Alien, but like decades and decades, if not centuries, after Predator 2. So ipso facto, that doesn't make any sense at all. And another fun fact I'm gonna throw at you, the fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't do this movie because 1, he didn't like the director, 2, because he didn't like the script. So if Arnold Schwarzenegger, known for his acting skills, right, didn't like the script, maybe something's wrong with the script. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts on Predator 2, more so a rant than anything. I don't think the movie's really that good. It's definitely a step down from the first one, and it's a weak film overall. It's really not that enjoyable, but it is what it is. I think it kind of has sequelitis to try to go bigger by setting it in a city, having more characters and things like that, and more, you know, bodies for the Predator to take down. But overall, it fell completely flat with me. I'm going to be giving Predator 2 a 5 out of 10. So guys, if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know, what were your thoughts on Predator 2? Did it surpass the first one? Did you kind of feel it fell flat like me? Or, you know, were you surprised by it? Is it guilty pleasure? Do you just hate it? Let me know. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap.